Good morning, I am Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, Associate Professor of Pathology. In this class, I will tell about hypertensive vascular disease. It's nothing but hypertension. In hypertension, the blood pressure in the arteries is elevated. And blood pressure more than 140 by 90 mm of Hg is known as hypertension. Hypertension is a major global health concern. Almost 1 in every 3 elderly persons have this hypertension. Unlike other diseases, it won't produce any symptoms. It is a silent killer. Directly it will produce complications like heart failure, kidney failure and stroke. And World Hypertension Day this year was observed on May 17th. And this year the theme was Know Your Number. The meaning is to increase the awareness of high blood pressure in all the populations around the world. So what is the objective of this class is to know about what are the various types and causes of hypertension and its pathogenesis, followed by the complications of hypertension in various organs. So overview of this topic, first I will tell about the introduction of hypertension, followed by prevalence of hypertension and what are the various causes and types of hypertension and its complications, followed by clinical course and special type of hypertension, malignant hypertension will also be discussed, and followed by normal blood pressure regulation. And after understanding this normal blood pressure regulation only, we can understand the pathogenesis of secondary and essential hypertension. Finally, vascular pathology in hypertension is also discussed in this class. Systemic and local blood pressures must be maintained in a normal range to prevent any untoward consequences. So if there is any hypotension, that means low BP, it will cause inadequate organ perfusion. So if there is any high blood pressure, this will cause end organ damage. Both systolic and diastolic blood pressures are important in determining the risk. Sustained diastolic blood pressure more than 89 mm of Hg and systolic blood pressure more than 139 is indicated with increased risk of atherosclerotic heart disease. However, such cutoffs do not reliably assess the risk in all patients. That means when other risk factors are present, lower thresholds are applicable. This is the classification of hypertension. Normal is systolic blood pressure less than 120 and diastolic blood pressure less than 80. It's a normal one. And in pre-hypertensive phase, systolic blood pressure more than 120 to 139 mm of Hg and diastolic blood pressure more than 80 to 89 mm of Hg. It is a pre-hypertensive phase. Next one is stage 1 of high blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure between 140 to 159 mm of Hg and diastolic blood pressure between 90 to 99. It is stage 1 of high blood pressure. Next one is stage 2 of high blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure more than 160 and diastolic blood pressure more than 100. This is stage 2. Next one is hypertensive crisis. The systolic blood pressure, it is higher than 180 mm of Hg and diastolic blood pressure more than 110 mm of Hg. Hypertension is soon turning out to be one of the most lethal diseases in India. Almost 29% of people in India are hypertensive, and in Southeast Asia, almost 1.5 million people will die because of hypertension every year. And in India by the year 2025, almost 214 million people will have hypertension. And in urban Indians, the prevalence is 33%, whereas in rural population it is 25%. It is higher in urban when compared to rural. And in women it is 22%, whereas in men it is 21%. 1% higher in women when compared to men in India. Next is types and causes of hypertension. There are two types of hypertension, essential hypertension and secondary hypertension. Essential hypertension, it accounts for 90 to 95% of cases, whereas secondary hypertension, it will account for 5% of cases. First, I will tell about the renal causes of secondary hypertension. The renal causes are acute glomerulonephritis, chronic renal disease, polycystic kidney disease, renal artery stenosis, renal vasculitis and renin-producing tumors. These are the renal causes of secondary hypertension. Next one is endocrine causes of secondary hypertension. Endocrine causes are adrenocortical hyperfunction, that is Cushing syndrome, primary hyperaldosteronism, congenital adrenal hyperplasia and licorice ingestion. And next is exogenous hormones, either glucocorticoids and estrogen. Estrogen including pregnancy-induced and oral contraceptives. Next one is sympathomimetics and tyramine containing foods and monoamine oxidase inhibitors. The other endocrine causes are pheochromocytoma, acromegaly, hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, and pregnancy-induced hypertension. These are the various endocrine causes of secondary hypertension. Next one is cardiovascular causes of secondary hypertension: coarctation of aorta, rigidity of aorta, and polyarteritis nodosa. It's a type of vasculitis and increased intravascular volume and increased cardiac output. These are the various cardiovascular causes of secondary hypertension. Next one is neurological causes of secondary hypertension: psychogenic causes and increased intracranial pressure and sleep apnea and acute stress, including during surgery. Next is complications of hypertension. The prevalence and vulnerability to the complications in hypertension, it will increase with age, and they are higher among African Americans. And the complications are atherosclerosis and cardiac hypertrophy and heart failure. Combined it is called as hypertensive heart disease. And other complications are multi-infarct dementia, aortic dissection, renal failure, and other complications are, which you can see in this picture, stroke, vision loss, and sexual dysfunction, that is erectile dysfunction in case of males. Hypertension is asymptomatic until late in its course. It is a silent killer. Even severely elevated pressures also, it can be silent for years. So if left untreated, what will happen is roughly half of the patients will die of ischemic heart disease and congestive heart failure, and other third die of stroke. And treatment, if it is given with this blood pressure lowering drugs, it will reduce the incidence and death rates. Next one is malignant hypertension. It's a rapidly rising form of severe hypertension which is seen in 5% of cases. So if not treated, death will occur in 1 to 2 years. In malignant hypertension, systolic blood pressure is more than 200 mm of Hg and diastolic blood pressure is more than 120 mm of Hg. The changes in malignant hypertension are in kidney, this will lead to renal failure, and in the eye, this will cause retinal hemorrhages and exudates, either with or without papilledema. In this picture, you can see the changes in the retina. And either it can be seen in normotensive persons. More often, it is superimposed on pre-existing benign hypertension. Before going to understand the pathogenesis of hypertension, first we have to know the normal blood pressure regulation. Blood pressure is a function of cardiac output and peripheral vascular resistance, and both of which it is influenced by multiple genetic and environmental factors. This blood pressure is a function of cardiac output and peripheral resistance. The function in this cardiac output function is affected by the stroke volume and heart rate. And the determinants of stroke volume are myocardial contractility, including filtering pressure and size of the vascular compartment. And peripheral resistance, it is determined by the vascular structure and vascular function. Peripheral resistance is regulated predominantly at the level of arterioles by neural and humoral inputs. And vascular tone, it reflects a balance between vasoconstrictors and vasodilators. Angiotensin II, catecholamines and endothelin, they are the vasoconstrictors, whereas kinase, prostaglandins and nitric oxide are vasodilators. Blood pressure, it is a function of cardiac output and peripheral resistance. You can see in this picture. The cardiac factors which influence the cardiac output are heart rate and myocardial contractility. And blood volume is affected by the level of sodium, mineralocorticoids and atrial natriuretic peptide. And peripheral resistance is affected by the neural and humoral factors. And alpha adrenergic, it is a vasoconstrictor, whereas beta adrenergic, it is a vasodilator. Next one is humoral factors. The vasoconstrictors are angiotensin II, catecholamines, thromboxane, leukotrienes and endothelin. These are the vasoconstrictors, whereas vasodilators are prostaglandins, kinin and nitric oxide. The local factors which will affect this blood pressure are autoregulation and local tissue pH and hypoxia. This will also influence the blood pressure. Factors released from the kidneys, adrenals and myocardium, they interact with each other to influence the vascular tone, and also this will regulate the blood volume by adjusting the sodium balance. And the kidneys and heart will also contain cells so that it will sense the changes in the blood pressure and blood volume. It will release the circulating effector so that it will act in concert to maintain the normal blood pressure. And further, kidneys will also influence the peripheral resistance and sodium excretion retention primarily through the renin-angiotensin system. So what is this renin is? Renin is a proteolytic enzyme which is produced by the renal juxtaglomerular cells and myoepithelial cells which surround the glomerular afferent arterioles. And this renin it is released in response to the low blood pressure in afferent arterioles. And also it can also be secreted in case of elevated levels of circulating catecholamines and also in case of low sodium levels in the distal convoluted tubules. The renin which is produced in the kidney, it will act on the angiotensinogen which is produced in the liver and it is converted into this angiotensin 1. And further this angiotensin 1 it is converted into this angiotensin 2 by the angiotensin converting enzyme. And this angiotensin 2 it will act on the angiotensin 2 receptors. So finally there will be elevated blood pressure. Angiotensin 2 raises blood pressure by inducing vascular contraction and also it will stimulate the aldosterone secretion by the adrenal gland. And the aldosterone which is secreted, this will in turn increase the distal tubular sodium reabsorption. So that finally it will increase the blood volume. The kidney it will also produces a variety of vascular elastic substances like prostaglandins and nitric oxide to counterbalance the vasopressor effects of angiotensin. And if there is any volume expansion, what will happen is the myocardium natriuretic peptides are released from the atrial and ventricular myocardium. So that what's the function of this natriuretic peptides are? This will inhibit the sodium reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubules. And also this will lead to the sodium excretion and diuresis. And these natriuretic peptides also induce the systemic vasodilation. This is the picture showing the interplay of renin-angiotensin aldosterone and atrial natriuretic peptide in maintaining normal blood pressure homeostasis. So if there is any low blood pressure in our body, in case of renal artery stenosis, what will happen is our body will produce renin from the kidney, and this renin it will act on the angiotensinogen and it is converted into this angiotensin 1. And further this angiotensin 1 it is converted to this angiotensin 2 by the angiotensin converting enzyme. The function of this angiotensin 2 is this will cause vasoconstriction, and also this angiotensin 2 it will stimulate adrenal gland. So on this adrenal gland it will produce this aldosterone. The function of aldosterone is it will reabsorb sodium and water so that blood volume is elevated, so that the blood pressure is elevated. So if there is any further excess in the blood pressure, to counteract the vasopressor effect of angiotensin, what will happen is the atrial as well as ventricular myocardium it will produce this natriuretic peptides. So this the function of this natriuretic peptide is this will cause vasodilatation, and also this will excrete sodium and water so that the blood volume is decreased, so that the blood pressure is lowered. Thus the normotensive state is produced in our body by the interplay between renin-angiotensin aldosterone system and as well as atrial natriuretic peptide. Till now I discussed about this normal blood pressure regulation. By this we can understand the pathogenesis of hypertension. Hypertension is a disorder with multiple genetic and environmental factors. The vast majority of cases, that is in 90 to 95% of cases, the hypertension is idiopathic. It is nothing but essential hypertension. Even without knowing the specific lesion, it is reasonable to suppose that multiple small changes in the sodium hemostasis or vessel wall tone and structure act in combination to cause essential hypertension. That is, in 95% of cases, the hypertension is essential hypertension. Another 5% of cases, either it is because of these other causes like, for example, renovascular hypertension. Mainly it is because of the renal artery occlusion. And infrequently, hypertension has an underlying endocrine basis. First, I will tell about the pathogenesis of secondary hypertension. In many secondary forms of hypertension, the underlying pathways are reasonably well understood. In renovascular hypertension, what will happen is there will be renal artery stenosis. So this will cause decreased glomerular flow and pressure in the afferent arteriole of the glomerulus. So if there is any decreased pressure, what will happen is this will induce the renin secretion, which already discussed. When there is any decrease in the pressure, what will happen is this will in turn activate the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system, so that this will increase the blood pressure and blood volume. And several single gene disorders can also cause severe but rare forms of hypertension. And gene defects affecting the enzymes involved in the aldosterone metabolism, for example aldosterone synthase and 11 beta hydroxylase and 7 alpha hydroxylase. This will cause increase in the secretion of aldosterone. Further, this will increase the salt and as well as water reabsorption and plasma volume expansion, and ultimately this will cause hypertension. Primary hyperaldosteronism is one of the most common cause of secondary hypertension. And mutations affecting the proteins which influence the sodium reabsorption. For example, in case of this Liddle syndrome, it's nothing but moderately severe form of salt sensitive hypertension, in which it is characterized by gain of function mutations in the epithelial sodium channel protein. So this will increase the distal tubular reabsorption of sodium in response to aldosterone. Next is mechanism. It's nothing but pathogenesis of essential hypertension. First is genetic factors. Genetic factors, it will influence the blood pressure regulation as shown by comparison between monozygotic and dizygotic twins, as well as by comparing genetically related versus adopted children. And further, these cumulative effects of polymorphism in several genes, it will also affect the blood pressure. For example, sequence variations in the angiotensin as well as angiotensin receptor genes have been associated with hypertension in some studies. Next one is reduced renal sodium secretion in the presence of normal arterial pressure. It is a key initiating event in essential hypertension. So indeed it is a final common pathway for the pathogenesis of hypertension. So if there is any decreased renal excretion in the kidney, what will happen is this will further increase the fluid volume, and also if there is any increase in the fluid volume, what will happen is there will be increase in the cardiac output and also peripheral resistance, so that the blood pressure it will be elevated. Next is vasoconstrictive influences. That is nothing but factors which will induce the vasoconstriction and stimuli. This will cause structural changes in the vessel wall. So in turn this will lead to an increase in the peripheral resistance, and also it will also play an important role in essential hypertension. Next is environmental factors like stress, obesity, smoking, physical inactivity and heavy salt consumption are all implicated in hypertension. Indeed, the evidence linking the dietary sodium intake with the prevalence of hypertension in different populations is particularly impressive. Next, last one is vascular pathology in hypertension. Hypertension not only accelerates atherogenesis, but also this will cause degenerative changes in the walls of large and medium arteries, so that it will cause aortic dissection and cerebrovascular hemorrhage. And also this hypertension, it will also cause two small blood vessel diseases like hyaline arteriolosclerosis and hyperplastic arteriolosclerosis. First one is hyaline arteriolosclerosis. In this type, the arterioles it will show homogeneous pink hyaline thickening with associated luminal narrowing. In this picture, you can see this pink homogeneous thickening of the blood vessels. So what it will indicate? So this reflects the both plasma protein leakage across the injured endothelial cells as well as increased smooth muscle cell matrix synthesis. Although this hyaline arteriosclerosis it can be seen in older patients, in the blood vessels of older patients, but in hypertension it is generalized and more severe. So in nephrosclerosis, because of this chronic hypertension, the arterial narrowing it will cause diffuse impairment of renal blood supply, and also this will cause glomerular scarring. This is the picture showing both forms of arteriosclerosis. First one is hyaline arteriosclerosis. It's nothing but homogeneous pink thickening. See here, the lumen is also narrowed. Pink hyaline thickening is there in the blood vessel wall. Next one is hyperplastic arteriosclerosis. It is nothing but concentrated laminated thickening like that of a onion skin. Next is hyperplastic arteriosclerosis. So it is seen in case of severe hypertension. Here the blood vessels it will exhibit concentric laminated thickening of the walls with associated luminal narrowing. So like that of an onion skin. And these laminations it will consist of smooth muscle cells with thickened reduplicated basement membrane. In this picture you can see the concentric laminated thickening, and the lumen it is also narrowed like that of an onion skin. In malignant hypertension, this is accompanied by fibrinoid deposits and vessel wall necrosis, particularly in the kidney. So this is a summary of this class. Hypertension is nothing but elevated blood pressure in the arteries. So if it is more than 140 by 90 mm of Hg, it is called as hypertension. So unlike other diseases, it is asymptomatic. It won't produce any symptoms. Directly it will produce complication. It's a silent killer, and the prevalence is almost 29%. That is 1 in every 3 elderly persons they have this hypertension. There are two types of hypertension: essential hypertension, that is it accounts for 90 to 95% of cases, and secondary hypertension. And the causes for the secondary hypertension are either renal or endocrine, cardiovascular and neurological causes. Next one is complications of hypertension. The complications are atherosclerosis, heart attack, cardiac hypertrophy, heart failure, stroke, multi-infarct dementia, aortic dissection, renal failure, vision loss and sexual dysfunction. So next one is malignant hypertension. It is a rapidly rising form of severe hypertension in which systolic blood pressure is more than 200 and diastolic blood pressure is more than 120. And usually you can see this renal failure along with this retinal changes like retinal hemorrhage and exudates, along with either with or without papilledema. Blood pressure, it is a function of cardiac output and peripheral resistance. The cardiac factors which influence is heart rate and myocardial contractility, and blood volume is affected by sodium, mineralocorticoids and atrial natriuretic peptide. And peripheral resistance is affected by both neural and humoral factors, either vasoconstrictors and vasodilators. And local factors which will influence the blood pressure are autoregulation, pH and hypoxia. This is the picture showing the interplay of renin-angiotensin, aldosterone and atrial natriuretic peptide in maintaining normal blood pressure homeostasis. So if there is any decreased pressure, what will happen is our kidney it will secrete renin, and this renin it will act on angiotensinogen. It will convert it into this angiotensin 1, and this angiotensin 1 by the action of the enzyme angiotensin converting enzyme, it is converted into this angiotensin 2, and this angiotensin 2 this will cause vasoconstriction, and also this will secrete aldosterone from the adrenal gland. So the function of aldosterone is it will reabsorb sodium and water, so there will be increase in the blood volume. By this the blood pressure it will be elevated. So if there is any high excess in the blood pressure to counteract this angiotensin, so our atrial as well as ventricular myocardium it will secrete this natriuretic peptide. So there will be vasodilatation, and also this will excrete sodium and water, so that the blood volume it is decreased, so that the blood pressure is decreased. Thus a normotensive phase can be achieved by these two mechanisms. Next is pathogenesis of secondary hypertension. In case of renal vascular hypertension, because of renal artery stenosis, this will cause decrease in the blood flow and blood pressure, so that what will happen is there is increase in the renin secretion. This will further in turn increases the vascular tone and blood volume by renin angiotensin aldosterone pathway. And also certain gene defects affecting the enzymes which are involved in the aldosterone metabolism, this will also contribute to the secondary hypertension. And also mutations affecting the proteins which will influence the sodium reabsorption. For example, in case of Liddle syndrome, excess reabsorption of sodium will be there, so this will in turn increase the blood pressure. Next one is pathogenesis of essential hypertension. So it accounts for 90 to 95% of cases, and it is a complex multifactorial disorder involving both environmental and genetic factors. The environmental factors are stress, obesity, smoking, physical inactivity and heavy salt consumption. Next one is genetic factors. For example, genetic polymorphisms which will influence the sodium reabsorption in angiotensin aldosterone system. And the other key event is reduced renal sodium excretion in presence of normal arterial pressure. So if there is any reduced renal sodium excretion, what will happen is there will be increase in the fluid volume along with this cardiac output, and also there is increase in the peripheral resistance, so that the blood pressure it will be elevated. And next is vasoconstrictive influences. For example, factors which will influence the vasoconstriction, this will increase the peripheral resistance, so that there will be elevated blood pressure. These are the changes which are seen in blood vessels in case of hypertension. In the first one, hyaline arteriosclerosis, the arterioles it will show homogeneous pink thickening with associated luminal narrowing. In case of hyperplastic arteriosclerosis, the concentrated laminated thickening will be there with associated luminal narrowing, and also it will appear like that of a onion skin. Lifestyle changes have a major role in the prevention of hypertension. So what we have to do is we have to maintain a healthy weight, and we should do regular exercise, and we have to eat balanced diet, and also we should limit excess salt, and we should stop alcohol, and we have to monitor blood pressure. And also it is not a communicable disease, it is a lifestyle disorder, so the prevention is in our hands. Thank you.